Okay, this is stop 3. We're now at the top of the hill in Waterloo Park by the parking lot. And there are a few things to point out here. First of all, of course, there's a lot of construction. I've put the plans online and I encourage you to take a look at them. I'll post a link on Learn. But you can see the new boardwalk across the lake from in front of the Perimeter Institute. I'll talk more about the Perimeter Institute later. And other plans include playgrounds, a beach, botanical gardens, lawns, an ecological realm, and an ecological realm behind the boardwalk. Total costs are estimated at around $6.7 million. Silver Lake, which you can see to the south, provides a scenic urban lake setting in the core of the city of Waterloo. It's been environmentally rehabilitated and enhanced with recreational opportunities, which have since been torn down and will be rebuilt again. It is an artificial lake, so it's not a natural lake. And the recent changes to the park make the water level look a lot healthier than it did before. Some other things. Abraham Erb, Waterloo's first settler, built Silver Lake as a water source for his grist mill. The original mill was built in 1816 and was an important economic and social centre and encouraged settlement in the area. The mill was used for grinding grains. In other words, it's a grist mill. Farmers travelled from miles around to grind their wheat into flour. The replica mill was built in 1996 as part of the rehabilitation of Silver Lake. You may be able to see it across Silver Lake. That's not its original location. It is a replica. And in the late 1800s, Silver Lake was also used to harvest ice for refrigeration, with around 8,000 to 10,000 tons of ice blocks cut in an average year. The ice storehouse was on the south side of the lake where the Perimeter Institute stands today. Behind us you can also see a log building. This was the first schoolhouse, and it was built in 1820 near the present McGregor Senior Public School. It was moved to Kitchener in the early 1840s and rented as a residence. It returned to Waterloo Park around the turn of the 20th century and was rebuilt in 1972 thanks to the efforts of local students. The high-rise and continuing construction beyond the park to the south, past the Perimeter Institute, are commercial real estate developments called the Barrel Yards. It is turning a previously undeveloped area into an urban centre with high-density residential, office, hotel and retail development. The original plan said that it would consist of 10 buildings, and you can't see from here, but some of them are still being constructed. The crane is behind one of the buildings currently. And this includes 2 10-story office buildings and 2 22 to 25-story apartment and condo buildings for 1,300 families and seniors, as well as a 9-story hotel. The total investment is worth around $250 million. As we follow the footpath to the eastern edge of the park on Caroline and Erb Street, we'll also see an old station to the right of where we're walking. This train station is now a tourist information centre. Historical trains to St Jacobs and Elmira used to depart from here on weekends, and there's another former train station on the other side of Uptown, which is now a clothing store. You can still get them, I think, from St Jacobs and Elmira, but they no longer stop at Uptown Waterloo. But that's just a little something about the historical rail infrastructure that would have been used in times past. Finally, I want to note one of the most kind of obvious features of the landscape here. On the other side of the lake from us, the Perimeter Institute for Theoretical Physics, which once hosted famous physicist Stephen Hawking in summer 2010. This is one of 2 research institutions with really close ties to UW in this area. We'll see the other at the next stop. The building was co-founded by Mike Lazaridis in 1999, a local entrepreneur and businessman with close ties to the universities. and you'll see his name on the side of a building on University Avenue if you're walking away from Laurier toward Waterloo. The Perimeter Institute attracts people of all ages and has easy-to-understand public lectures on macrophysics theory. The building's facade was inspired by a computer chip, which you can kind of see from this angle. A note before we continue, a reminder about this idea of reading the landscape. This is a really good stop to see an example of that, at least from the visual field point of view and from the point of view of human geography. The points that I've gone through discuss a number of overlapping developments that are both public and private, some in combination in terms of the Perimeter Institute. Some of them are very contemporary and historical. They combine physical and human environments through lake and creek conservation and development. And it's interesting too to think through, well, what have we decided to memorialize and remember, and how? Which stories are we choosing to emphasize in the landscape? So think about the grist mill and the old high school. And also, there's a plaque beside the school that you can read a little bit more about too. And that will give you some information about, who is deciding to emphasize what in this landscape. So there's a lot to see, and it speaks to the kind of complexity of the visual field in which we find ourselves. And I'm sure there's also plenty more to see that I haven't directly pointed out and that you could look more into if you're able to visit the park in the future. So let's continue now to stop 4, which is on the corner of Urban Caroline Streets at the edge of Waterloo Park.